Okay, it is eclipse season. We are right in the thick of it with the North Node. We just had a lunar eclipse in Virgo in early March, so get ready for a grand finale moment that is sure to shake up your life and help you step into your power, help you take your autonomy back, and help you trailblaze a path that is going to have lasting impact and ultimately is going to be quite beneficial for you thanks to Jupiter's lucky influence and Saturn's stabilizing energy that wants to lock in that lasting success and commitment to something new. Eclipses are a time of fated changes, unexpected yet destined events. Things may be happening and you might just be kind of along for the ride. It can feel like that. And if you have strayed from your life path, your soul's purpose, the direction where you should be moving towards in this lifetime, eclipse season is going to find a way to get you back on track. And this could feel more like a lighter time if in your life you're already pretty aligned and on track and in tune with what needs to happen in your life. But if you have strayed, eclipse season can feel very jarring and very difficult. This eclipse may be a solar eclipse, which generally does signify new beginnings, but this is also kind of finishing up this Aries eclipse storyline that we last saw in your life back in April 2024 when we had the last Aries eclipse. So you may be able to think back to last year and connect the dots into what was happening then, into what is finishing up into a new beginning of sorts kind of way now. So this could have been a job that you landed around then and now you're striking out on your own for a new beginning. It could be a new beginning in loans or shared financial resources area of your chart, some area of your chart that had a culmination or a peaking point last April, and now something new is happening and is related to that, which is really giving you a sense of a fresh start. So these are just examples of how this grand finale can also act as a fresh start during this solar eclipse on March 29th. So you guys, a lot of these astrological events don't actually occur in isolation. They are connected and they are part of a cycle. So get ready for this grand finale, fresh start, eclipse season. And then, we can kind of rest for a few months until the next eclipse season kicks back in later this year. I don't know where my phone is, but that's fine. Okay, and by the way, everyone, hey, my name is Montana H from astrologyforbabes.com, where we talk about astrology, astrocartography, synastry, crystals, and other topics that are related to spirituality to enlighten today's curious minds. I do offer readings, so feel free to check the link in the description box below for more information on that. But today we are here to talk about the solar eclipse in Aries that is coming up again on March 29th, 2025 at 9 degrees of Aries. So I'm going to start this video by talking about some of the general themes that we can all expect for the solar eclipse, and then I'm going to move into the all signs portion of this video where I'm going to give my predictions for you based on your sign. I would listen to your rising sign, definitely. That's going to be the most accurate as far as predictions, because this is really the character you're playing in this game that we call life. Your sun sign is also going to be accurate as well. You can listen to it for your sun sign, which often does kind of resonate more in a career type of lens. And then you can listen to your moon sign too, which is really going to be about your emotional landscape, how this eclipse kind of feels for you. It could also have to do with home or body, especially if this eclipse is happening on top of your moon. For example, if you have an Aries moon, then this eclipse may have a lot to do with you want to listen to your moon through the lens of your moon for this one. Okay, so this eclipse in general, let's talk about eclipses in general. So eclipses take place when a full or a new moon happens on the nodes of the moon. So this solar eclipse taking place on March 29th is going to be a brand new beginning or some sort of drastic progress for you in the Aries area of your chart. It's kind of like a new moon in Aries on steroids. So it's supercharged, it's extra powerful. And in general, you can think of solar eclipses as a fresh start, a new jumping off point, a new beginning, a time when new opportunities arise in the Aries area of your chart. Wow, that was like 4 A's right there. So because this eclipse is happening in Aries, you're going to notice this fresh start type of theme even more around taking boldness, taking initiatives, how you identify, how you show up in this world, your personal autonomy, taking command, even taking risks. All of these themes are very Aries, very Aryan in nature. So that's going to probably come to the forefront, especially since Aries is kind of like that first sign of the zodiac. This is a very fresh start in true Aries nature. Aries is a cardinal sign, so it is raw and it is a bit impulsive, and you may really want to feel like you want to strike this match and get moving in the Aries area of your life. So now we're going to talk about the planets that are very much deeply engaged in this eclipse madness during this late March eclipse. So I do want to start by saying that there are a lot of planets pretty directly involved in this eclipse, kind of more so than usual in many ways. So at the time of the eclipse, despite the fact that the sun is in Aries, there is actually a lot of activity happening in the Pisces area of your chart as well, where we have retrograde Venus, basically retrograde Mercury at this time as well. We have Saturn. All of these things are in Pisces, and all of this is conjunct the North Node and Neptune, okay? And then we do have Pluto flowing to this eclipse harmoniously from the Aquarius area of your sky to the Aries area where this eclipse is taking place. So all these planets minus Pluto are all meeting up around the North Node. So overall, this theme of the solar eclipses in Aries can really be summed up as, a powerful, with Pluto kind of flowing harmoniously, faded, bold new beginning that is about our independence and something we want to do, Aries, because of a spiritual or faith-based reason, Pisces, that is rooted in past connections or something happening from the past, which is that Venus and Mercury in retrograde point that can create lasting results in that Saturn, okay? So let's start with the retrogrades. There is a lot of retrograde activity during the time of this Aries solar eclipse. And so that's going to influence the themes that come up around this eclipse, okay? So we've got Mercury and Venus both in retrograde. Mercury, the planet of communication, thought, intellect. Being retrograde means that we are currently reassessing our plans, what it is that we think. We're waiting for messages, we're waiting for news, we're waiting for contracts to be finalized. We're reworking our thoughts. We're maybe reassessing our travel plans and our educational plans, and definitely just reassessing our desires. And with Venus, the planet of love, money, harmony, being retrograde, we are rethinking our relationships. We are reassessing our finances and our financial resources. We're taking another look at what it is that we value and how we value ourselves and our self-worth. We might be waiting for money owed to us, or we may be being asked to pay people back, or paying people back might be on our mind. And then potentially, there could be relationships, people from the past, people from past lives, especially with this whole Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, conjuncting the North Node, conjuncting Neptune. For some of you signs, there could be a past life connection that's going to make itself known in the weeks leading up to this eclipse, and then, in the time after this eclipse, up to 6 months after this eclipse. So the theme of reevaluation is huge during the solar eclipse, as well as things from the past coming back up that may be connected some way to the solar eclipse. But with this eclipse being in the sign of Aries, there is this sense of urgency, this sense of impatience, and this desire to do it now and to jump in head first, okay? Which really, during a retrograde, isn't really well advised. Jumping into head first anything isn't super well advised. And because of that, this energy can feel a little bit conflicting. But keep in mind, any changes you make while a planet is in retrograde, it's likely going to be reassessed once the planet goes direct again, 9 times out of 10, unless this is something that's very much rooted in something in the past, then maybe those things will kind of continue with more certainty. But yeah, either way, there's going to be this desire to move forward with the quickness, okay? So with retrograde Venus, the planet of love, money, harmony, and beauty, being conjunct the North Node, you may find that destined changes are occurring in your romantic life, or with close connections to the women in your life, or around your ideas around money and self-worth. So these are all topics that Venus has a very heavy influence over. And fated changes that are connected from people from the past or topics from the past might be coming up here. And really a similar thing can be said here for Mercury as well. So there may be important conversations, contract, travel plans, or messages that are coming up in a very destined way during the time of this eclipse. And I will say that while a lot of conversation is likely to be around fine-tuning and waiting and revising, most of these things that we're waiting to firm up maybe won't feel certain or won't be able to move forward with any great confidence until the retrograde period ends later in April, around mid-April, okay? So now let's talk about the North Node in Pisces. So this eclipse is taking place in Aries But the North Node is in Pisces, just close enough to this basically eclipse so that it is eclipse. But this North Node being in Pisces is adding this level of excitement towards Pisces ideals. So Pisces ideals of imagination, spirituality, transcendence, empathy, dreaminess. This North Node in Pisces at the time of this eclipse means that there is a growth or an increase or an excitement in the Pisces area of all of our charts that we have a newfound faith in, or that we kind of feel drawn to inexplicably, or have this kind of like philosophical appeal towards, or that we feel motivated towards for spiritual reasons, selfless reasons, creative reasons, Piscean reasons, okay? And then Neptune being conjunct the North Node as well is almost like doubling down on this dreamy Piscean energy. Okay, also at the time of this eclipse, Saturn is loosely conjunct the North Node in Pisces, and retrograde Venus and retrograde Mercury and Neptune. And so Saturn being present does add this sense of commitment to this eclipse, a Saturnian sense of hard work that really can lead to lasting success. So whatever you're feeling energized about right now in the Piscean area of your chart, with sustained effort, you can achieve this like sticky longevity there that really is built to last, built Ford tough. If anyone remembers that reference. So lastly, let's not forget that Pluto, the planet of transformation, intensity, obsession, and power, is flowing to this eclipse from the Aquarius part of your chart in a harmonious, supportive nature. So when Pluto is flowing harmoniously to an aspect, it does add this really supportive strength. It can almost feel like, you know, you're playing Mario or some video game and you get a little +1 mushroom that gives you a power boost or adds extra intensity to your ray gun. I don't know, but it's just like adding this extra intensity here to this new moon, to the solar eclipse in Aries. So with this helpful support from Pluto, who is sitting in Aquarius, you really do have the opportunity to add this boost, this strength, this power to the new beginning that's happening in the Aries area of your chart to give it an extra oomph here. Okay, amazing. One sec, my computer is doing things which we don't want it to do right now. Okay. So again, the way I would sum up the solar eclipse in Aries is a powerful Pluto, fated, bold, new beginning that is about our independence and something that we want to do, Aries, because of a spiritual or faith-based reason, Pisces, that is rooted in past connections, Venus and Mercury retrograde, that can create lasting results. It's a mouthful, but like there's a lot going on during the time of this eclipse, and I know you feel it. We all feel it. It's just a very heavy and interesting time. So overall, because of Jupiter, which is flowing harmoniously to this solar eclipse, and just in general what's going on here, most people are going to feel this solar eclipse as more of a positive time in their life, or at least neutral, which in this day and age is good. No news is good news, y'all. Okay, there will be news, but it's going to be good. Okay. Okay, let's just go ahead and mention everyone so that although you may begin to feel the effects of this eclipse up to like a month prior to the eclipse on the 29th, it may also take some extra time for the actual events of this eclipse to manifest. It could take, anywhere from 6 months up to a year, honestly. But I would say usually within a month or so of this eclipse, in either direction of the eclipse, before the eclipse or after the eclipse, you should have an idea what this eclipse is going to be about, or at least the conversations should be sparked. The little seed should be planted, and you should go ahead and you'll kind of know what the general themes are, although the specific events may take some time to unfold. And again, for the most accurate predictive energy, as we go into the 12 all signs portions of this reading, listen to your rising sign. You can also listen to your sun sign. And again, if this eclipse is happening on top of your moon, if you have an Aries moon, definitely listen to the moon for this as well. If you are one of those lucky Pisces risings, or if your moon is in Pisces, where we're having all this Pisces pileup energy with retrograde Venus and Mercury and Neptune on the North Node all in Pisces, definitely listen to that a bit more too. But yeah, definitely go for rising and moon. Rising and sun, and then moon too if you'd like, especially if there's extra significance if you have an Aries moon or like a Pisces moon. So let's go ahead and start the all sides portion of this reading. We're going to start with Aries. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. The always bold, usually brave, always number one, highly competitive stars of this eclipse show. And really the stars of the show next month too, with retrograde Venus and Mercury re-entering your sign over the next few weeks, and Neptune entering Aries as well. This is going to be, it's a Pisces party right now, but it's going to be an Aries party in like a matter of weeks. So this Aries solar eclipse on March 29th is taking place in your first house of self, identity, your appearance, the way you move about in this world. So when you have an eclipse taking place in your first house, literally anything can happen for you Aries rising. So, you can really expect a new beginning that can affect your relationships, your sense of self, your job, your appearance, anything having to do with you. If you're an Aries rising, yes, really anything having to do with you. If you're an Aries sun, this may affect your career more so. And if you're an Aries moon, this can affect your emotional landscape, your body, and your home, okay? So Aries risings and suns and moons, you've had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since about 2019, and you may have experienced pain around these first house topics, like maybe not being able to express yourself the way you would like to, not being sure of who you are, losing your confidence, your sense of self, something about yourself that was causing you this reoccurring insecurity. So this could be, if you haven't yet experienced the healing aspect of Chiron, because remember, it is the wounded healer, there could be a new opportunity, a blessing here, a time of healing and renewal is finally here in this first house of self to heal this self wound here. So perhaps around the time of this eclipse, you could be receiving a new, bold, invigorating start. You could feel like this is it. This is your time to shine. It's the time to take risks, to take back your autonomy in some way. It's time to find that boldness that you're normally all about and go forth. This would also be something simple like a new haircut or a new wardrobe that really, again, gives you your confidence back. And with Mercury's technically at 0 degrees at the time of this eclipse, this could really involve getting your voice back or delivering a message that you need to get out into the world. With Mars, the ruler of this Aries solar eclipse, and the ruler of you, being in your 4th house of home and roots and lineage, Mars likes to energize. Is my computer freezing? Okay. My computer was freezing, but it's back. Okay, Mars likes to energize, but it does like to cut and sever as well. So some of you will be moving here, cutting ties with your current home. Perhaps it's a change of residency that's giving you this new sense of self. Maybe you move away and then you really get to double down on this new beginning. Perhaps it's honestly, cutting ties with your family or adding more passion or energy into your home in a way, and again, in a way that really serves to reinvigorate you. Okay, and with the North Node and retrograde Venus and Mercury in Pisces in your 12th house of secrets, distant lands, privacy, solitude, rest, the subconscious, there is a very strong Piscean connection to the solar eclipse in Aries as well. So right now, you might find that you're reflecting not only on what it is you truly want and who you truly are, but also have been taking great pleasure in your alone time, right? Like resting and recharging. You could have taken a rejuvenating vacation in a foreign land that you probably have visited before because of the retrograde energy, and you may be wanting to ensure that going forward, you take more rest and reprieve seriously so that you can be more effective and operate from a more balanced place. And your commitment to doing this going forward might feel very spiritually aligned right now. And you may have an almost transcendent connection to this new commitment here. With Jupiter, the great benefic, expander of things, bringer of luck, being in your 3rd house of communication, online world, intellect, siblings in your neighborhood, flowing in a harmonious sextile to the solar eclipse in Aries, I could see the potential for some Aries for a new beginning that's related to online activity or a writing project that you want to get out there into the world. This could be a social media account that you want to start or a website that you want to build. You could also potentially be buying a car that contributes to this feeling of a new sense of self because the 3rd house is about transportation as well. In either event, your 3rd house world is expanding thanks to benefic Jupiter, who is sitting up there and helping this area of your life to be imbued with a sense of optimism and growth. So he potentially wants you to move into a neighborhood that you like better, because the 3rd house is all about neighborhoods as well, or to help you start that new communication project, or to get that online website running in the next few months. So look for these changes to manifest, not necessarily just on the day of the eclipse or a month before the eclipse, but really anywhere from within roughly the next 6 months or so even. So even though I would say that very near this time of the eclipse, something happening related to the beginning stages of all of this can manifest, or like there could be something you point to the genesis of this new beginning right around the time of this solar eclipse. Moving on to Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. I'm gonna grab my phone really quick and I can't stop the video. Okay, because it's going off in the background. Thanks for your patience. So Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. This Aries eclipse on March 29th is taking place in your 12th house of the subconscious mind, past lives, secret, distant land. So you can expect a new beginning in this area of your chart, although it may be more subtle because the 12th house is a more gentle, subtle, quiet house. And Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Taurus, you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, and this part of your chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these 12th house topics, like painful secrets that you discover have been being kept from you, or perhaps a karmic issue from a past life that's resurfacing, or maybe you've just been feeling really lonely. So this could be around the time of this eclipse if you haven't yet experienced the healing aspects of Chiron, because again, it's the wounded healer. It could be the new opportunity, the blessing could finally be here. This time of healing and renewal could be present to help heal this 12th house wound, especially with Mercury being present just before moving back into Pisces, retrograde Mercury. You could be receiving some news or some message that really helps you get a new frame of mind to move past some of these limiting beliefs that really have been holding you back and keeping you isolated, or even a dream of some sort, a message that comes through a dream to help you get connected in some way to the source, like a new spiritual connection to source, or some secret information that's been brought to light again that helps you move forward, with Mercury bringing information in the form of secrets brought to light or dreams. So with Mars, the ruler of this solar eclipse, being in your third house of communication and neighborhoods and short distance travel and siblings, this fresh start that you could be experiencing could really be coming in the form of a message or news that you have been waiting for. With the retrograde period, waiting is such a huge theme that really again does reset your mindset. And additionally, you could be going on a little day trip somewhere relaxing and pleasant that gives you this mental refresh that you need. Or since the third house is where Mars is sitting, is all about learning. You could be diving into a new subject and talking about a new subject, reading about a new subject that's very related to your spirituality, or helps you put down something mentally that's been dragging you down. Okay, and with the North Node and retrograde Venus and retrograde Mercury in Pisces in your 11th house of community and organizations and groups of friends, and even your long-term dreams and wishes, there is a very strong Piscean connection to the solar eclipse in Aries. And right now, some of you Taurus are potentially reflecting on, are my friends good for my mental health? Are the organizations that I'm a part of really helping me work towards my long-term wishes and my dreams? You could be asking yourself these questions. And going forward, Taurus has Mercury and Venus go direct again in Pisces before heading back into your Aries 12th house. You want to ensure that your groups of friends, your hopes and dreams, well, let's just say your groups of friends are going to be great for your mental health, and your hopes and dreams are kind of like aligned to help make sure that you feel this nice sense of rest and safety, and your commitment towards this is going to feel very spiritually aligned thanks to that Piscean and that Neptunian connection. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to mention that with Jupiter. Actually, I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to talk about Jupiter. But I just want to lastly say that I want you to look for these changes that we just talked about, not necessarily manifesting on the exact day of this solar eclipse in Aries, but it could happen the month before, the month after, but even up to around 6 months or so, but very near this solar eclipse. You should be at least feeling like you're feeling the beginning stages of all of this, or even there could be an event that you can point to that will act as the genesis of all of this around the time of this solar eclipse. Moving on to Gemini. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. This Aries solar eclipse on March 29th is taking place in your 11th house of organization, groups of friends, dreams, and wishes. So you can expect a big new beginning in these 11th house topics. So Geminis, you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these 11th house topics, like feeling like you don't belong to a group of friends, or fighting with your friends, or organizations or community-centered events that have ended up just being the biggest disappointment to you, or maybe even like you aren't where you want to be in your life as far as your hopes and dreams are concerned. So this could be, if you haven't yet experienced the healing aspect of Chiron, because remember, it is called the wounded healer, the new opportunity could be here. The blessing, the time of healing and renewal could finally be here to help heal that 11th house wound. So perhaps this could be joining a new group of friends, or starting a new organization or a new event, or perhaps there was a cathartic conversation that you had, or a message that you put out into the world involving your experience in a group of friends, or involving your experience in an organization that really felt healing for you to share. Or perhaps for some of you Geminis, a long-term wish or goal could even finally be being fulfilled. And with Mars, the ruler of this solar eclipse, being in your second house of day-to-day money that you earn from your paycheck, things of value, and your own self-worth, you could also receive this 11th house new beginning by perhaps finding a new source of income from your group of friends or this new organization that you're joining. Or perhaps it's always been a dream of yours to make money with your friends, or from your friends, that's finally coming true. So maybe your friends could be supplying you with some sort of financial gift that's helping your dreams come true. Or for some of you, you are seeing a big payday that came from something that you've been thinking about or dreaming about for a long time. And for others of you, it could be selling a big possession of yours that's going to help contribute to a big hope or dream of yours. Or again, just maybe making sure that the friends or groups that you're aligned with from now on treat you with respect, the respect that you deserve, because the second house does have to do with self-worth. With the North Node and retrograde Venus and Mercury being in your Pisces 10th house of career, social standing, and public reputation out in this world, there is a very strong Piscean connection to this North Node eclipse, Geminis. A very strong Piscean connection to the solar eclipse in Aries, Gemini. So right now, a lot of you might be reflecting on your profession. Is this what I want to be known for out in the world? Is what I'm doing making me money in the way that I deserve to have? Or Geminis, you could also be one of those signs that could be waiting for an important message about your job or about a contract. So this could be related to a new job that you're waiting to fully step into. Or another way that this could manifest for you Geminis is you could be putting a message out there very visibly into the world that is about a group of women or something that happened from the past that you're talking about finally. So, all of this could have this 11th house new beginning in the areas of organizations that you're part of, or your group of friends, or perhaps again, maybe your long-term hopes or dreams being fulfilled, being related in some way to your public standing or your profession or what it is that you do. And so going forward, you want to ensure that your group of friends and any organizations that you are a part of is aligned with your professional reputation and what it is that you stand for. And your commitment to this, Geminis, feels very spiritual, okay? Very spiritually aligned. And lastly, Geminis, let's also not forget, you have had Jupiter, the great benefic, expander of wealth, of good fortune, bringer of luck, in your first house of self, in your first house of appearance and identity and body since last summer. So this means that Jupiter has been trying to love you up since this got into your first house, since Jupiter entered your first house. And you could be experiencing those benefits from Jupiter in almost any way, since this is your first house. So if you are a Gemini sun, Jupiter could have been trying to, and is still currently trying to, bless you up in your career. If you're a Gemini moon, then this could be your home or your body. If you're a Gemini rising, you literally could be experiencing Jupiter's blessings, trying to expand any area of your life. And because Jupiter is flowing in a harmonious sextile to the solar eclipse in Aries, this could be a leveling up that you are doing personally that helps with this new beginning in your friends and your groups, and helps with your own long-term hopes and dreams being realized. So Geminis, I want you to look for these changes to manifest, not necessarily on the exact day of the eclipse, but it could be within the next 6 months or so of this eclipse. Or even potentially longer, just due to the eclipse cycles. So, but I do want you to keep an eye out, because typically very near to the eclipse, you're at least going to notice like some sort of seed that's happening that's going to start the beginning changes, the beginning stages of all of this. And also, you could be able to point to at least like a genesis point, sometimes very close to the eclipse date, even if it does take an additional 6 months or so to fully manifest. So just keep an eye out. Cancer. Sun, Moon, and Rising. This Aries solar eclipse on March 29th, Cancer, is taking place in your 10th house of career and social standing and public reputation. So you can expect a new beginning, Cancers, in these 10th house topics. So you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these 10th house topics, like not being employed in a career that feels worthy of you, or difficulties in employment in some way, or trouble with authority figures, or even public breakups that really wound your social status, Cancer. So really, this could be, if you haven't experienced the healing aspect of Chiron yet, because again, it is called the wounded healer, it could, the new opportunity, the new blessing, this time of healing could actually finally be here to help heal that 10th house wound that you've been carrying since 2019. So perhaps around the time of this eclipse, you could be stepping into a brand new occupation or a brand new job. You could experience a change in status in some way in the next 6 months. So, going from like, single to engaged or getting married, some pivotal status change could occur. And Aries, barely being in Aries at 0 degrees during the time of this eclipse could mean that your new occupation could potentially have to do with communication in some way, or speaking to people, delivering messages, people doing a lot of talking. With Mars, the ruler of this Aries solar eclipse, being in your first house of self, Cancers, of identity, of appearance, the way you move about in this world, you yourself could be feeling energized to make some huge decisions around your life, potentially cutting and severing parts of your identity, okay? Or, since Mars is very competitive and entrepreneurial, part of this new career that you could be stepping into could be very entrepreneurial in nature. So you could be stepping into a more entrepreneurial role, or maybe, so now you're maybe working for yourself, and maybe that's how you could be healing some of these wounds that you've had around authority figures and careers, because you no longer have to deal with any toxic workplaces or toxic bosses. And with Marge in your first house, Marge Simpson in your first house, with Mars in your first house, you could also just be engaging in more fitness related activities. So a lot of Cancers are like upping their fitness, going to cycling classes, joining run clubs, and just being more active in general during this time of the eclipse. But please, Cancers, be careful for injuries or inflammatory conditions with Mars in your first house. Okay, so with the North Node and retrograde Venus and retrograde Mercury being in Pisces in your 9th house of higher education, philosophy, long distance travel here, there is a very strong Piscean connection to the solar eclipse in Aries, okay? And with that North Node being in the 9th house, there's a definite, almost spiritual type of connection you might have right now to this new type of, maybe it's a higher education study in some way, something that's educational outside of your standard education, or learning something to further your philosophical thought, to further your knowledge, and making sure any long distance travel that you do is going to reconnect you with your inner self, and you feel an almost divine connection to your commitment around higher education, or this long distance travel. And right now, Cancers, you are reflecting not only on your profession, not only on your public standing out in the world, but potentially on some long distance travel plans that you had in place. Potentially, these travel plans may have been with women or centered around Venusian topics in some way. Like, what's a Venusian topic? Like romance, pleasure, feminine empowerment. These are all Venusian topics. So these travel plans that you had, Cancers, are likely under serious review for some of you. Or if you were thinking about doing something to further your education, Cancers, this is under review as well. So all of this could have this 10th house new beginning related in some way to additional courses that you're taking to further your career, or long distance travel that could be related to business in some way, like signing up for or expecting more business trips to happen that go along with this new promotion or this new job, or just in general, Cancers, you might just want to make sure that going forward, that if you are going back to school in some way, or if you are needing to travel for work, that your commitment to this feels very spiritually aligned, and you want it to be in support of your career. Okay, so Cancers, look to these new these solar eclipse changes to manifest not necessarily on the March 29th, right? But within a month prior to March 29th. So some of this could already be manifesting for you, and definitely within the month after, but it could take up to 6 months or so for all of these changes to fully manifest. But I will say that during the time of this solar eclipse, you will at least be able to kind of get an idea of what types of changes are going to manifest for you in the next few months, or there's like a certain event or something happening that you can point to as the genesis of all of these changes for you. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for my dear Cancers. Now for my Leo sun, moon, and risings. I was being dramatic for the Leo risings because they are very dramatic. Okay, so this solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th is taking place in your 9th house of higher education, philosophical knowledge, long distance travel, and spirituality. So Leos, you can expect a new beginning in these 9th house topics. And this eclipse is going to be trining your Leo sun or your Leo rising or your Leo moon sign. So this should feel a little bit more gentle and a little bit more pleasing to you for your Leos. So you're one of the lucky ones in that way. My Leos, you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. So since then, you may have been experiencing wounds and pain around this ninth house topics, like doubting your faith or your long distance travel plans not being able to work out, like not being able to go on these vacations that you've wanted to go, or if you're in grad school having difficulties getting in, or maybe it's been really hard to keep your grades up if you're in grad school. So this around the time of the new moon eclipse could be, if you haven't yet experienced that healing aspect of Chiron, because remember Chiron is called the wounded healer. Wounded, you may have experienced the wound, but if you haven't experienced the healing part yet, this could be the new opportunity. The blessing could be here. This time of healing and renewal could finally be here to heal these ninth house wounds. So perhaps you Leos could be prepping or getting news that you're going on a long distance trip, or you could be restoring your faith in your spirituality or your religious beliefs in some way, or you could be deciding for some Leos that you do want to further your education. This could be in grad school, just some additional learning that's more philosophical in nature, or studying a topic that just goes beyond your run-of-the-mill education. Or you Leos could be going on what feels like a long distance trip, even if it isn't across oceans. It could feel like that to you, and you could be getting ready to do that. And with Mars, the ruler of this Aries solar eclipse, being in your 12th house of the subconscious mind, of secrets, of alone time, even of distant lands, you could be receiving this ninth house beginning by perhaps through lots of introspection and private time, renewing your faith in your spirituality or your religion. Or with this 12th house connection, some of you Leo rises will be going on a long distance trip soon in the next 6 months, going somewhere, leaving your home. And for another group of you Leos, some of you are changing the way you spend your alone time and your private time to make room for some studying that might go along with learning these classes, or taking these higher educational related classes, entering these higher education programs. So with the North Node and retrograde Venus and retrograde Mercury being in Pisces in your 8th house of joint resources, loans, and mortgages, there is a very strong Piscean connection to this solar eclipse Aries. And so right now, a lot of you Leos, especially Leo risings, may be waiting for an important contract to come through. You might be waiting for a message about a loan, waiting for a message about a mortgage, which could have to do with these ninth house new beginnings being related in some way. Like perhaps you're waiting for the sale of your home or news about a loan so that you can do some traveling, so you can get the heck out of there using those funds. Or maybe you are learning and having conversations about the occult or deepening your intimacy in some way. These are other eighth house things. And through these conversations, your faith and your outlook on the world might be restored, okay? And with Jupiter, the great benefic, expander of things, bringer of luck, being in your 11th house of long-term goals, but also community and organizations, flowing in a harmonious sextile to this solar eclipse in Aries, I could see the potential for some of you Leos that perhaps a long-term wish is even being fulfilled in related to this long-distance travel. So maybe it's been a dream of yours to move somewhere with all of this activities in your loan and mortgages house. I could I could see some of you having a dream about moving or selling a home or something like that, or being part of a home sale and process. But it could be a dream of yours to move away or to visit a place that's out of the country. And with Jupiter in your 11th house, Jupiter's been trying to bring you blessings in this area of your chart since summer of 2024. So you could have joined an organization or joined a group in the summer of last year or so, or gained since the summer of last year, or gained some new beneficial friends. But in general, okay, my computer has frozen. Okay, I think we're back. But in general, I do expect for you, Leo risings, for some long-term goal or hope or wish of yours to be fulfilled before Jupiter moves out of your 11th house later this summer. So perhaps an organization that you're now a part of is going to help bring you this fresh start to your outlook on life and your spirituality, or help you do some long distance travel. So Leos, I want you to look for these changes to manifest, not exactly on March 29th, but it could manifest within the month before March 29th or the month after, or up to around 6 months after. But I do expect there to be, you to have an inkling about what this new moon eclipse is, what this solar eclipse is really about. Or for there to be like something you could point to as the genesis of all these changes, which will happen around the solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th. Thank you, Leos, and I hope this was helpful. Okay, Virgos. Virgo, sun, moon, and risings. Did we, let's just talk about it. There was an eclipse that happened on March 14th. In your sign. Okay, so you're still reeling from those changes. There was a massive letting go that you had to do. You know, you may have let some huge part of your identity go. If you were Virgo rising, if you're Virgo sun, there may have been a letting go related to your career in some way, or your ego. And if you're Virgo moon, this could have been a letting go that was related to your home in some way, or your body. So you're still reeling from those changes from last eclipse. But for this solar eclipse on March 29th, it is taking place in your 8th house of shared resources with a partner, other people's money, like loans and mortgages and rebates and commissions, of intimacy, you know, and maybe the occult, transformational experiences. All of these things are encompassed by the 8th house. So this is where your new beginning is taking place, Virgos. And you all, I'm a Virgo rising, hint. Secret. We have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of our chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these eighth house topics. So maybe you took on too many loans, or maybe you've been unable to obtain a mortgage to buy a home. Maybe you felt like you haven't had a partner with which to share your resources, and you've had to work really hard for your money alone. Okay, so this could be, if you haven't experienced the healing aspect yet of Chiron yet, because remember, it is called the wounded healer. So it is going to eventually bring you some healing after all these wounds. The new opportunity, the new blessing, the time of renewal could finally be here, healing that 8th house wound for you. So perhaps this could be you receiving a loan, be receiving some sort of new financial beginning that might come in the form of like a commission or a royalty check, or some sort of new resources you're sharing with your partner, or maybe even a new deepening of intimacy with a partner. Or even like, you could even be like studying, like beginning to study or learn more about the occult in some way. Okay, so with Mars, the ruler of this Aries eclipse, being in your 11th house of friends and organizations and long-term goals, and moving direct at that, you could be receiving your 8th house new beginning by perhaps receiving a chunk of money from your friends, or through an organization in some way, or perhaps some big wish or dream that you've been working on for a long while that might be related to an organization, or might be related to a group of friends, could be coming through to earn you some residual income in some way finally. But you could be cashing out on that in some way. Pluto is flowing harmoniously to this eclipse in Aries via a gentle sextile from Aquarius. So again, this is kind of like giving this eclipse in Aries like a financial wealth undertone to you, because Pluto brings power and can bring wealth as well. So with all of this retrograde energy from Venus and Mercury in Pisces in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships going on until mid-April, this could also be the new start of some intimacy with a lover from the past, or potentially a past life lover. Okay, because Venus and Mercury both being retrograde at the same time, moving into your 7th, conjunct dreamy, otherworldly, transcendental Neptune, all of this being conjunct the North Node of Fate, it's giving past life lover. It's giving love from the past, like that is fated or destined and karmic in some way. This is like this combination of all of these planets is giving past life lover, okay? Or just like dreamy love. It's, you know, that song by Peaches and Herb, reunited and it feels so good. That's kind of what it's giving, okay? And with Jupiter, the great benefic, expander of things, bringer of luck, being in your 10th house of career and social standing, flowing harmoniously to this solar eclipse in Aries. And frankly, like, let's not forget the new moon in Pisces that we just had a few weeks ago, right? Which was taking place in your 7th house. I could potentially see some new relationships coming your way for some single Virgo risings, one that is faded and, as I mentioned, may have some sort of past life connection or connection to the past. But regardless, it could feel expansive and beautiful and potentially feel like the person of your dreams or the person that you've been waiting for. So growth-oriented Jupiter in your 10th house, it's going to help you single Virgos get into a relationship. If you're not single, you know, if you're already partnered, it can help you go from being in a relationship to engaged, from engaged to being married. Or if you're just like solid in your relationship already, this could just potentially just up level the relationship. And this solar eclipse in Aries could be a deepening of joint intimacy in relation to this up leveling in your 10th house that's wanting to occur. So Virgos, I want you to look for the changes that we just chatted about to not necessarily manifest exactly on March 29th, but really in the month before, the month after, or even up to 6 months or so in the future. This could take a while to manifest, but I do believe that around the time of this solar eclipse, regardless, you're going to be able to have an inkling about what this eclipse is about and point to like a genesis moment, like, oh yeah, that's the thing that happened that started it all, as it continues to manifest potentially out the next few months. Okay, I hope that was helpful, Virgos. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This Aries solar eclipse on March 29th is taking place in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, romantic, platonic, and business. So you can expect a new beginning in your relationships or your contractual life, okay? So Libras, you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since around 2019. And you may have experienced wounds around these 7th house topics, like relationships that have a sad undertone to them, or your partner going through some really rough patches, or you may not being able to find a relationship, or contracts going bad because it's like a contractual area as well, or just being in like toxic AF relationships or business partnerships just not going well, okay? So this finally could be, if you haven't experienced the healing aspect of Chiron yet, because it is called the wounded healer. It's not all doom and gloom, okay? In the new opportunity, that blessing, this time of healing and renewal could finally be here to heal that 7th house wound of yours. So perhaps around this time of the eclipse, you could be meeting someone new who could end up being someone that you want to enter a relationship with, or maybe you are entering into a new partnership with someone, or maybe this is a big contract that you're signing to, or you're bringing on a new important client. But either way, there's some sort of lovely new big beginning in your 7th house that is usually relationship oriented in nature. With Mars, the ruler of the solar eclipse in Aries, being in your 10th house of public reputation, your social standing, your status in the world, you could be receiving this 7th house new beginning in a way that is related some way to some 10th house happenings. So if this is new relationship related, I could see this new beginning really elevating your social status in the world in some way. So maybe it's a more visible relationship with someone who's more professionally known, or like known in your community. Or if this is a new business partnership, in the same way, I could see this really elevating your career. So this could be a contract with a big client who, through this, really helps you jump to the next level in your profession. So in some way, I could really see your social standing out in the world, your career, your reputation being positively affected by this new moon solar eclipse in Aries. And with the North Node and retrograde Venus and Mercury being in Pisces, in your 6th house of work and day-to-day routine and duties, and also health and wellness, there is a very strong Piscean connection to the solar eclipse in Aries. So right now, you are reflecting not only on your one-on-one relationships, like which ones do you truly value and how you want to be cared for in your romantic and your platonic relationships. Do they really feel good to you? So you're not only asking yourself these questions, but you're also asking yourself, how do all these relationships impact your day-to-day work, your routine? Are they supportive? You know, do they make your day-to-day easier, or are they adding like stress to your day-to-day? You may also be doing some waiting or some negotiating involving a financial like contract with a business partner, because this is happening again in your house of work. I think a lot of you Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings are doing this right now, or maybe in a bit of a limbo regarding a conversation with a romantic partner. Is this love healthy? Is this partnership healthy, right? So these themes of health and work are very strong with this solar eclipse as well. So all of this could have this 7th house new beginning being related in some way to work in your routine, or in general that you just want to make sure that going forward your partnerships are aligned with your values and are healthy for you, and your commitment to making sure this alignment is true going forward feels very spiritually aligned, very spiritually motivated, and you're serious about it. I also want to mention for you Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings, that Pluto, our boy Pluto, god of wealth and power and intensity, he is flowing harmoniously to this eclipse in Aries via a gentle sextile from your 5th house of love and romance and children and entrepreneurship. So Pluto is a wealth signifier, right? So again, this is giving this eclipse a financial undertone, or at least like an undertone of a significant leveling up or significant powering up, because Pluto brings both power and can bring wealth as well. So I definitely see this new partnership, if it is with a business partner, if it is more contractual in nature, being one that can bring you great wealth with time, and being financially profitable. So perhaps this is a contract related to a new entrepreneurial venture, because the 5th house is all about entrepreneurship as well. And if this solar eclipse new beginning in the 7th house is romantic in nature, then I expect this new relationship to be full of passion, full of intensity, full of fun, and be very transformational in nature, due to this positive flow from Pluto. So this could really be someone who like puts you back in touch with your joy and with your hobbies, and you guys have a lot of fun together. So Libras, look for these changes to manifest not exactly on March 29th, but in the month prior to the 29th and the month after, and even up to 6 months or so after that as well, because it can take time for all of this to manifest. But I do believe you'll be able to look back into the solar eclipse time and be like, aha, that was the moment when everything started, or like that was like the genesis point to all the changes that began to manifest for you within the next few months. So thank you, Libras. I hope that was really helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if it was. Scorpios, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th is taking place in your 6th house of grueling hard work. I'm just kidding. But no, it's taking place in your 6th house, but it's day-to-day work, which sometimes can feel grueling. Your job, your coworkers, and routine things you have to do every day, but also of health and wellness. All of these topics are encompassed in the 6th house. So Scorpios, you've had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. Okay, so since then, you may have been experiencing wounds around these 6th house topics. Maybe like not really liking your jobs, having the worst experiences with coworkers, not feeling fulfilled from them, having health issues that are weird and difficult to diagnose. The 6th house has to do with pets as well. So you could have had a sad storyline happen around pets. So this could be, if you haven't experienced this healing aspect of Chiron yet, because remember it is called the wounded healer, it could be a new opportunity. The blessing could finally be here. This time of healing and renewal could finally be here to heal this 6th house wound that you've been carrying around with you for like 6 years. So perhaps you could be receiving around the time of this eclipse a new job that is great, that you love, or you could be starting a new routine with your health, or exercising better, right? So just having a new beginning in your routines or your health. And with the North Node being in Pisces, along with retrograde Venus and Mercury, excuse me, all of this is in your 5th house of dating and romance and entrepreneurship and hobbies. And so there's a very strong Piscean connection to this solar eclipse in Aries around those topics. So right now, Scorpios, you're reflecting not only on your past romances, but also like a lot of what is it that brings you joy, right? So you could have this 6th house new beginning in your work being related in some way to the 5th house topic of entrepreneurship, right? Or you could just want to make sure that going forward, your work is aligned with your values around happiness and joy and your commitment to making sure that this is so going forward feels very spiritually aligned, and you want to commit to this, right? And so with Mars, the ruler of this solar eclipse in Aries, and also the ruler of you, being in your ninth house of foreign travel, philosophy, and higher education, and moving direct at that, you could receive this sixth house new beginning by perhaps getting a job that has you traveling on business trips or is international in some way, or perhaps you're getting some sort of more formalized education about your health or wellness, or perhaps you're changing your frame of thought around health and wellness, based to this ninth house connection. And with Jupiter, the great benefic, expander of everything, bringer of luck, being in your eighth house of shared resources with a partner, other people's monies like loans and mortgages and commissions and rebates, also with the occult and transformational experiences, flowing harmoniously in a sextile to this solar eclipse in Aries, I could see the potential for a new job. I could see the potential for some Scorpios for this new beginning that is in some way related to financial resources or relationship intimacy, or potentially even the occult in some way. So perhaps some esoteric knowledge, or perhaps some of you are receiving a loan or some sort of financial boost, some sort of eighth house boost that grants you the leisure to maybe be able to focus more time on your health and wellness. So perhaps you, thanks to this eighth house boost here, like the loan, or some monies that you're receiving there from shared resources, or some sort of like sale of something in that way, maybe you don't have to work as hard on your day-to-day grinding for your paycheck. So now you have more time to like work out and be healthy and focus on healthy meals and have a routine that feels better to you, feels healing for you. Or, maybe now you can take a job that you're more excited about, that allows you, again, your day-to-day routine to change in some way that heals that sixth house chronic wound that you've had since 2019. So maybe now the way that you're spending your day is going to be changing, and your routine is completely going to be changing in a way that feels healing to you. So Scorpios, I want you to look for these changes to manifest, not only on the exact day of the eclipse on March 29th, but in the month prior, so like now, or the month after, but even as much as 6 months after, because it can take time for all of these changes to manifest. But I do believe that you'll be able to look back to the time around March 29th and point to a Genesis point from which all of these changes started to manifest from. Okay, Scorpios, I hope that was helpful for you. Amazing. So now we're going to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the most fun sign of the zodiac, some might say, depending who you ask. Ask a Virgo, they may not say that about Sagittarius. But ask a Leo, and they're absolutely will say that about Sagittarius. So this Aries solar eclipse on March 29th for Sagittarius is taking place in your fifth house of dating, romance, passion, children, and entrepreneurship. So you can expect a new beginning in these fifth house areas. So Sagittarius, you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these fifth house topics, like your romantic life being a source of turmoil and pain, or maybe a lack of romance, or maybe dating just not planning out, your romantic life not panning out like you thought, or maybe your children could have been going through some hard times since 2019, or you could have lost touch with passions and hobbies that you once loved. So this could be, if you haven't yet experienced the healing aspect of Chiron, because it is called the wounded healer, this could be a new opportunity, a blessing, a time of healing or renewal that could finally be here for you to heal these fifth house wounds. So perhaps you could start dating someone who jumpstarts your romantic life, gets your engine humming again, or your child could receive some really good information that helps turn their life around. Could be financial in nature. So that's if you have children, or your circumstances, Sag, Sun, Moon, and Risings, could be changing in some way that allows for you to start having more fun again, going to more movies and shows, or picking up your favorite hobby that you left off with, right? So that you haven't been able to take part in for whatever reason. So soon you may be able to take part in those activities that bring you joy and pleasure again. So look for these changes to start manifesting within a few months of this solar eclipse in Aries. And I also want to say that with Mars, ruler of the solar eclipse, being in your eighth house of shared resources, Sagittarius, is other people's money, bank loans, mortgages. Some of you Saggies are going to be buying a house or selling a house, and perhaps the proceeds of the sale will allow you to have greater financial freedom in some way, or reconnect with your hobbies in some way. Or through buying a home, maybe you just move somewhere that's more fun, or through selling your home, you move somewhere that's more fun. Or you're able to reconnect with your children again in some way through buying or selling a home, or obtaining a loan that helps you to do that. And with the North Node and retrograde Venus and Mercury being in Pisces, in your fourth house of home and lineage and roots, again, there is a very strong fourth house Piscean connection to the solar eclipse in Aries around the time of this eclipse. So I can see a lot of you Sagittarius moving within the next 6 months. 6 months to somewhere you like better, okay? A lot of you Sagittarius are going to be moving. With Venus and Mercury retrograding through your fourth house, you could currently be in waiting mode related to your home sale, or waiting for a contract to come in that's related to your home in some way, and just like waiting for like the crystallization of some financial information regarding your home. But definitely with the North Node of Fate and Destiny stationed in your fourth house of home, there is a huge focus on home and family right now. And with Saturn conjunct the North Node, bringing lessons and hardships and boundaries into the home could be a theme as well right now. So also Neptune is in the mix, Sagittarius. So Neptune is conjunct the North Node also in your fourth house of home, giving you this spiritual, otherworldly drive or purpose surrounding your home, and your commitment to this feels almost spiritual in nature. Okay, Sagittarius. So with Jupiter, your chart ruler, the great benefic, the expander of things, the bringer of luck, being in your seventh house of one-on-one relationships, platonic and business, flowing in a harmonious sextile to the solar eclipse in Aries. I could see the potential for some Sagittariuses that is related to potentially a new relationship of some sort that is aiding you in this fifth house new beginning. So this could be a relationship that is business in nature, signing a business contract again that allows you more freedom to connect with your hobbies. Maybe it's financial in nature, or this could be the expansion of a spousal relationship, bringing you more romantic buoyancy, because that's what Jupiter's about. It's about buoyancy and happiness. So maybe going from dating to engaged, from engaged to married. These are things that could happen. But with Jupiter just like sitting up into your seventh house, ultimately until June 2025, you're going to see an expansion of these seventh house topics if you haven't already, Sagittarius. So just like we're almost there if you haven't seen that yet. And I want you in general, Sagittarius, to look for these changes around the solar eclipse to manifest. Not exactly on March 29th when the solar eclipse is happening, but up to a month before, up to a month after, and again, like even up to 6 months after, because it can take time for these changes to manifest. But I do believe that around March 29th, you're going to be able to look back and point to a moment that was the genesis of all the changes that are going to be manifesting over the next few months. Thank you, Sagittarius. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I bet you're just not used to someone being so excited for you, Capricorns. I love Capricorns. I'm a Virgo rising, so I like a good Capricorn, okay? So this Aries solar eclipse on March 29th is taking place in your fourth house of home, roots, lineage, and family. So you can expect a new beginning in these areas, Sagittarius. So you have a Chiron known as the wounded healer in this part of your chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these fourth house topics, like fighting in the home, sadness in your home, living in places that don't feel like home, having to move home in a way that like it wasn't like the circumstances surrounding your move may have not been pleasant, or the home just being a place of weird vibes and maybe you can't even be yourself in your home, or difficulty finding a home, wondering where home is this where home is? Like there's just maybe been some displacement around your home as well. So this could be, if you haven't yet experienced the healing aspect of Chiron yet, because Chiron is known as the wounded healer. You've had the wounds. It could finally be time to have the healing part if you haven't experienced that yet. So your time of healing and renewal could finally be here to heal that fourth house wound. So perhaps you could be receiving a new beginning here that heals some trauma related to family, so heals a familial wound. Or maybe you'll be moving into a place that finally feels like home within 6 months to a year after the solar eclipse. Or if you're not moving, maybe a healing salve or salve, I believe the L is silent. It's funny because I had a conversation with my Capricorn best friend about salve And if the L is silent in salve, but I think it is silent. So funny this is coming up, Capricorn. But a healing salve could finally be placed on some of your wounds around home, or you could just be going to visit your family. And like family is definitely going to be a big theme for you in the next 6 months, Capricorns. So with Mars, Capricorns, the ruler of this Aries solar eclipse being in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships that are romantic in nature, but also that are platonic or business in nature, you could be receiving a new beginning that has to do with your one-on-one relationships. So that could be moving because of a one-on-one relationship. Moving in with your love, moving in with a partner, and it feels healing for you. Or this could be a start of you getting therapy, like taking therapy, having a therapist that you see at home, or relationship counseling that gives your home life a very fresh new beginning. 7th house does have to do with therapists and counselors. So yeah, you could be enlisting the help of a therapist to help heal familial wounds, or again, like a partnership, a new friend, a new partner, romantic in nature, could help you heal your wounds around home and family. So with the North Node and retrograde Venus and Mercury being in Pisces in your 3rd house of your neighborhood, communication, your siblings, and also the online world, all this is encompassed by the 3rd house. There's a very strong connection to all of these things in relation to the new moon, the solar eclipse in Aries. So right now, you're probably Capricorns doing a lot of reflecting on like what is home, thinking about your family life, but you potentially are thinking about an upcoming change in your neighborhood, or even like about a relationship with your sibling. So you could be assessing your relationship with your siblings. You could be assessing your relationship with your neighborhood. There could be a change in your neighborhood. Or, you could also be thinking about a writing or social media related endeavor, because writing and social media also has to do with the 3rd house. So all of this could have this new beginning in Aries being related in some way to your siblings, or returning home to an old neighborhood, like returning home so that you can move forward. Or, with the Venus and Mercury retrogrades coming into your 3rd house, conjuncting with Neptune and the North Node, you could have been, specifically for you Capricorns, reunited with a love who used to live in your neighborhood, or maybe you ran into them at a local bar, because that's like very neighborhood. Or maybe you met someone, a romantic love that has ties to a city that you live in, or that you used to live in, or that you will live in, all around the time of this eclipse, a month before the eclipse, a month after the eclipse, because there's just like this whole Mercury Venus thing in the neighborhood thing. So, and it can very much relate to fate or destiny, with that North Node and Neptune being in the mix. So, or this could also just be for some of you Capricorns, a writing project related to your family, or thinking about your family a lot, or maybe starting a journal with your therapist. Or Capricorns in general, you just may want to make sure that going forward, your family and your home life is aligned with your values around having close ties to your neighborhood, and your commitment to this feels spiritually aligned, okay? So lastly, I'm talking a lot for you Capricorns. Lastly, I want to say that with Jupiter, the great benefic, expander of things, bringer of luck, being in your 6th house of work and day-to-day routines and health and wellness for you Capricorns, flowing in a harmonious sextile to the solar eclipse in Aries, I could see the potential for some of you Capricorns to have health or wellness, or to have employment tie into this new beginning that you're experiencing in your home life. So Jupiter wants to bring you a better job. Jupiter wants to bring you more joy to your routines and your day-to-day activities, and to help get you on this fitness journey that's going to bring better health and wellness into your life. So a lot of you Capricorns have been focused more on your health. Maybe you started working out, you started doing something that like brought more fitness to your life, or something more joy or more optimism has been brought to your day-to-day routines in some way. And so for some Capricorns, what I'm going to say is going through this new beginning in the home. So by moving, potentially you'll be able to get a better job in the future, or you're going to move to a place with better employment prospects. Or for Capricorn, some Capricorns, having a healthier relationship with your family is going to flow nicely into having a healthy relationship with your own health and wellness, right? So Capricorns, look for all these changes to manifest in your life, not necessarily on March 29th, but some of them already could have begun to manifest in the month prior to this eclipse and also in the month after this eclipse, but also more broadly in the next 6 months after this eclipse. So, you'll be able to look back to like March 29th or the time around March 29th, month before, month after, and say, there was that moment, that Genesis moment that sparked all of these changes that I ended up seeing happening that are related to this eclipse. Okay, Aquarius. Capricorns, I hope that was helpful for you. Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising. So this solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th is taking place in your third house of communication, siblings, cousins, your neighborhood, but also the online world and even vehicles potentially. So you can expect a beginning in these third house topics. So Aquarius, you have had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. So you really could have experienced pain around these third house topics, like fighting or distance with your cousins or even a sibling, right? Because it's siblings and cousins is the third house, or moving into a neighborhood that you kind of just don't like and it kind of doesn't feel like home and you haven't been able to move away. Or it could be hard for you to gain traction with your website, or maybe it's been hard for you to grow your social media platform. And so around this time, this could be, if you haven't yet experienced the healing aspect of Chiron, because remember, it is called Chiron, the wounded healer. This could be the new opportunity, the new blessing, that time of renewal, the time of healing could finally be here to heal that third house wound of you. So perhaps you could be receiving the inspiration to create a new website, or maybe you want to start a podcast, or you want to start writing again. Or perhaps this is a time of healing your wound around your sibling, especially with Venus and Mercury moving into that direction of your chart within a few weeks. Or you could be learning a new topic that excites you, or maybe you're just finally able to purchase a car to get off the bus, to get out of the bus and into a car, to get off that bus. So these are some of the ways that this new beginning in your third house can manifest for you, Aquarius, over the next few months, or even now, actually, because you can look to these changes to manifest anywhere from now to the next few months. And with Mars, the ruler of this solar eclipse, being in your 6th house of day-to-day routines and your work, the job you do every day, your health and wellness, you could also be receiving this Aries new beginning by adjusting your day-to-day routines so that you do have time to write, or maybe you have more time to start that podcast, or learning new skills as part of a new job that you're able to acquire. And for some of you Aquariuses, these new skills could be related to health or wellness. So, learning about nutrition or something that's going on to improve your fitness routine. Or for other Aquariuses, it's getting a new job that pays you more, so you're able to purchase a car and maybe move out of that neighborhood. And with the North Node and retrograde Venus and retrograde Mercury being in Pisces in your 2nd house of money, like money you take home via a paycheck, things you value, and your self-worth, there is a very strong financial connection to this eclipse in Aries for some of you Aquarius. So right now, a lot of you Aquariuses are reflecting not only how you want to communicate your message out into this world, or how you want to interact differently with your immediate neighborhood, but also a lot about your finances, right? So how you earn money, and potentially even your own self-worth for some of you Aquariuses. So you could be waiting for news around money, or, oops, there's a small issue. One sec. My computer is rejecting this 1.5-hour long video I'm doing. Okay, well, I was talking about Aquariuses, I feel like. Okay, so for some of you Aquariuses, you could be waiting for news around money, or potentially renegotiating a financial contract, or just waiting for news or a message around a new job that is even centered around communication in some way. Or for other of you Aquariuses, you just want to ensure that if you are going to be learning a new topic, if you are putting something out there into the world, that it's going to directly help you earn money in a way that's like, you can point to, oh yeah, that thing helped earn me money. Or, you could, for some Aquariuses, be healing a valuable relationship with a sibling in your life, so that going forward, this relationship contributes to your self-worth, and your commitment to these changes are going to feel almost spiritually aligned. And lastly, I have to mention for you Aquariuses, transformational, wealth-bringing, power-bestowing Pluto is flowing from Aquarius in your 1st house of self harmoniously to this new eclipse in Aries. So it does add a supportive strength or a power boost, or adds like some extra intensity to this new beginning. And it's originating from you, Aquariuses. So you, Aquariuses, have been going through some big changes in the past few months. You know it's true. If you're an Aquarius rising, this really could have been any part of your life that's been changing in a very transformational way. If you're an Aquarius moon, it could be your emotional landscape or even your home that's changed, same with your rising, or something to do with your family. Or if you were an Aquarius sun, this could have been a monumental transformation with your career. And so this new third house beginning with your neighborhood, or this new message that you're trying to deliver out into the world, really has to do with the fundamental change that's going on with your sense of self, right? So this change may have felt very destructive at first, but ultimately, Aquarius, as I promise, it's serving to power you up and is flowing harmoniously nicely to the solar eclipse. So it's giving it a nice little supercharge. Okay. So I want to let you know, for you Aquariuses, to look for these changes to manifest not only on March 29th on the exact day of the eclipse, but also within the month prior to the eclipse and the month after, and even up to 6 months after. But I bet you'll be able to look back on this March 29th time zone, point to a specific event, and be like, ah, yeah, that was the genesis moment from which all of these changes sprung. Okay, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the star, sort of the secondary star of the show. You've been the star of the show for the past month, and you're kind of just going to keep being the star of the show for a little while. Especially, didn't we have a new moon in Pisces that happened? Yeah, we did. In February 27th, I think, or February 28th. Beautiful new moon. Okay, so for this solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th, it's taking place in your second house of finances. This is the money you earn every day. This is things of value, things you value, the way you make money. So you can expect a new beginning probably around the way that you make money, right? So Pisces, you've had Chiron, known as the wounded healer, in this part of your chart since 2019. So you may have experienced pain around these second house topics, like not earning as much as you need, experiencing financial hardship, or potentially dealing with issues around your own self-worth. So this could be, if you haven't experienced it yet, the healing aspect of Chiron, that's finally here, because let's not forget, it's called the wounded healer, not just the wounded wound, it's the wounded healer. So it could be the new opportunity, the new blessing, that new time of healing or renewal could finally be here to help heal that second house wound. So perhaps you could be receiving around the time of this eclipse news about a new job that's going to help you make more money per hour, or you could begin to make money in a new way so that you feel like you finally are getting paid or have the potential to get paid the amount that you deserve, Pisces. And with Mars, the ruler of the solar eclipse, being in your fifth house of dating and romance and entrepreneurship and hobbies, you could be receiving this second house fresh start by potentially making money in a way that brings you greater autonomy or allows you to step into a place of entrepreneurship, right? Because entrepreneurship is very fifth housey. Or you could be making money in a way that brings you joy or is related to a hobby or passion of yours in some way, or like fifth house is romance, so it could be related to romance in some way for you, some Pisces. But in general, it's just probably going to be something that brings you more joy. And with the North Node and retrograde Venus and retrograde Mercury in Pisces in your first house of self and identity and appearance, there is a very strong Piscean connection related to the solar eclipse in Aries. So right now, Pisces, you're reflecting not only on like things about like things surrounded how you look, but really like a lot on everything, because this first house where these retrogrades taking place is your your house of self, your house of like appearance, all of these things, right? And so with retrograde Venus and Mercury coming back from Aries into Pisces, into your first house of self, you could be waiting on a contract, Mercury, or waiting on money that is owed to you, Venus, or waiting on some news around money, okay? And with the conjunction to Neptune that is going to retrograde Venus and Mercury, along with the North Node, really could signify an otherworldly, dreamy, idyllic past love, or maybe even a past life romantic connection coming back to you that is absolutely destined, right? So let's not forget, as I mentioned earlier, there was the most gorgeous, magical new moon in Pisces just last month, I believe on the 27th, taking place in your first house of self for our Pisces risings. And we just also had this lunar eclipse in Virgo just a couple of weeks ago, taking place in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. So all of this could absolutely, for Pisces, point to a faded love from the past, and it could be even past life connections if you're someone who gets down with that past life ship from the past returning. So if you're not single, Pisces, then this could just be an important friend or business partner who is, again, going to help you make money. And you could be talking about this with them, or in negotiations in some way. And with Jupiter, your ruler, your chart ruler, the great benefic, the expander of things and bringer of luck, being in your 4th house of home and roots and lineage, flowing in a harmonious sextile to this solar eclipse in Aries, I could see the potential for some of you Pisces related. I could see some of the potential. Sorry, guys, I've been talking for an hour and a half. I could see the potential for some of you Pisces. You're going to be moving into a bigger home, into a bigger neighborhood, especially Pisces risings and moons, sometime within not only the next few months, but up to the next year or so. Jupiter is going to expand that 4th house of yours. And if you're not moving, this could just be an expansion of your home in some way. It could be people being brought into the home or something like that, or wealth being made from the home. So, but in terms of this eclipse, I could see for some Pisces, this new way of making money is going to be connected to your home in some way. So potentially working from home, making money in a way that has to do with your family or lineage, or has to do with home. So Pisces, I want you to look for these changes to manifest not only the day of the eclipse on the 29th of March, but the month prior, the month after, and even up to 6 months or even a bit longer after, because it takes time for these changes to manifest. But I believe you'll be able to point back to the time of this solar eclipse in Aries and say, there was that moment, that Genesis moment, when the beginning of all these changes sprouted. So everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to learn more about astrology, or astrocartography is one of my passions, tarot, crystal, all sorts of things, check out my website, astrologyforbabes.com. I do offer readings. All that information is in the link in my bio, and I will be back very soon with another video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and happy solar eclipse in Aries.